What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Yesterday I went ahead and unboxed my all-new iPad Air 16GB. As a matter of fact, I got two of them, and at the end of this video I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys the first thing out of four things that you guys are going to have to do in order to enter this pretty huge giveaway, since an iPad Air may not be the iPad Air 2, but it's still an iPad. So $500, $400 about-ish, so you guys probably want that, so go ahead and do the things that need being done throughout the week. So first of all, today I wanted to make the video starting off by saying why I went ahead and got the iPad Air rather than the Air 2. So of course, the iPad Air was the main release. That was the main iPad, and it was just like the 4. The 4 was the big phone, and then the 4S came, which was just a cool improvement. You got Siri, a few good specs, so on and so forth. Same thing with the 5. That was the main phone, and then the 5S. The 6, and next year we're going to get the 6S, and hopefully I'm planning on getting the 6S, since it'll probably have some ridiculously awesome feature, I'm hoping, not just some random improvement. Same thing goes with the iPad lineup. First of all, we got the iPad Air, which was the ridiculously improved thing with mad awesome specs. Did I just say mad? Anyhow, we got good old brand new display. It was the thinnest tablet in the world at that time, and a better camera. It was just pretty amazing. But then, this year we got the good old iPad Air 2, which, to tell the truth, wasn't that much of an improvement, but you cannot say that it wasn't an improvement, because it was. The real question you guys should be asking yourselves is, what type of person are you? Number one, are you the type of person who wants something based on how much it costs and how efficient it's going to be? The person who's trying to save money. Or are you the type of person who wants the latest thing, doesn't care too much about money, and simply wants the latest thing to show off and just have the latest tablet with the fastest speed, fastest processor, fastest everything, and those are two types of people. I'm technically both. I love having the fastest thing out there, but I'll also weigh all the odds. If I don't see that the improvements outweigh the improvements from the year before, then of course I'll go with the one that is cheaper. It's not really that big of a deal to say, oh yeah, I got the all-new iPad Air 2 for a day and a half. Now, of course, some benefits may be more beneficial to some people rather than other people. A good example would be the fact that I, for instance, don't really need Touch ID, while other people out there will take their iPads all over the place and take it to business meetings and have the risk of getting it stolen. In that case, Touch ID is really, really important. To tell the truth, I actually type in my password faster than Touch ID can register my fingerprint. Yes, I've actually tried it out. So to me, that doesn't really make a difference. So the number one big difference is, of course, the thinness. And to tell the truth, that doesn't really affect us in any way. It's the fact that they made it lighter that affects us. If you guys truly want to look at the exacts, the iPad Air 2 is 6.1 millimeters thin, and the iPad Air is 1.4 millimeters thicker. And to tell the truth, that's not that thick. Just picture 1 millimeter in your head. 1.4 millimeters, that's a millimeter and a half. I saw a picture somewhere that compared the iPad Air's difference to a fingernail, the thickness of a fingernail. So it's not really that big of a difference. Now, when it comes to it being lighter, that does make a difference. If you can hold this thing in your hand for a longer amount of time, then you're going to be more comfortable using it, and for tablets, that is crucial. So of course, this is much, much lighter. Not that big of a difference once again, but once again, it is lighter in the end, so if you are able to hold it for another half an hour or so in your hands, then hopefully gameplay will be a lot more fun, or whatever you do on your iPad. Branching off of that is, of course, the touchscreen itself. That's right, they actually sort of meshed the touchscreen and the screen that you guys touch together. So the glass panel and the LCD touchscreen are now one exact thing, and that was the main factor when it came to making this thing so much more thinner. What does that mean for you guys? Well, it'll be a lot more intuitive clicking, so when you actually go ahead and touch the screen, it'll feel as if you're touching the actual LCD rather than a random piece of glass that's in front of it. If you guys want the full comparison, on my iPad Air, it kind of feels hollow when I tap on it, while on the other hand, if you tap on an iPad Air 2, it feels completely solid and feels very sturdy. That's kind of one random thing that I noticed. Now, the screen on both devices are stunning, and the exact pixel density is, of course, 264 pixels per inch, which is pretty small compared to some other tablets out there. However, the actual resolution itself is 2048 by 1536, which is pretty nice. However, once again, they did not improve upon that in any way, shape, or form, besides the fact that they simply meshed two things together. And to tell the truth, that might work to your disadvantage. For instance, back in the day, you could actually go ahead and repair an iPad by yourself via purchasing maybe an extra screen on eBay if you went ahead and dropped it and broke the screen. Now that's going to be almost impossible without the usage of things like heat guns and a billion other things. In the end, Apple devices are always a pain to replace. Another thing that wasn't necessarily improved, but it is there, so we kind of have to go ahead and talk about it, is of course the camera. And to tell the truth, the camera is kind of a joke if you go ahead and compare it with other phone cameras out there. For instance, it's the iPhone 6, and taking pictures with tablets in general is more or less a joke. In the end, the camera is there, so of course we're going to go ahead and discuss it. So first of all, the megapixels. It comes with an 8 megapixel iSight camera with an aperture of 2.4, and it can record HD video at 180p. The improvement, of course, is the fact that it went from 5 megapixels to 8 megapixels, which really does not make that big of a difference, but if you're obsessed with taking pictures with your tablet, go ahead and get the upgrade. Now, in this case, why would I have gotten the iPad Air 2 over the iPad Air if I had done that? Well, one big thing that kind of changed my mind and shifted me from the iPad Air 2 to the iPad Air was of course the fact that there was no optical image stabilization. Although taking pictures on a tablet isn't something I do often, when I do it, I find my hands very, very shaky. And so in case I need to snap that emergency photo or that emergency video, then I want that nice unshaky shot. And so to tell the truth, it's more important to have optical image stabilization on a tablet where there's more space for it rather than on a phone, but Apple just didn't go with that. So that kind of shifted me away from the iPad Air 2. I know you guys want me to go in depth on speed, but to tell the truth, the iPad Air is more than enough fast. It's about as fast as it gets. The iPad Air 2 is just a little bit faster, and if you guys do heavy duty things such as Photoshop and edit videos on your iPad, which I have no clue why you would do that, feel free to go ahead and get the extra speed boost. But to tell the truth, the iPad Air is more than enough to handle everything. This is the test that I did. I went through every single one of my applications, loaded them, and counted to 5. If it didn't load in under 5 seconds, then I gave it an X. Every single application, I don't mean games, but every single application that I have on there and use on a daily basis loaded within the 5 seconds, one after another. I went through every single thing row by row, and that was the iPad Air. I don't know what the iPad Air 2 is capable enough of, but it would be pretty ridiculous to test that side by side. So if you have not decided by at this point in the video, the next two things of course are the most crucial. If you guys need portability and you want something really, really thin that will fit in a case and be as portable as possible, go with the iPad Air 2. That's just something I'm putting out there. Once you put an iPad Air into a case, it gets pretty bulky and heavy, so I found that a tad bit more annoying. And number 2 is of course Touch ID. That is of course the biggest factor, and to tell the truth, this should have been included on the iPad Air since that's when it came out, but it wasn't, so I can't really do anything about that. So if you guys need security and things along those lines and constantly take this everywhere and to bid meetings, to school, and you want to make sure that no one will be able to access your information in case they oversee your password, then of course you guys want Touch ID. But if you're like me and keep it at home for a device that you're going to make city tweak videos on, and I don't know why you would do that, but if you guys are going to game on it and type on it, then you guys probably don't need Touch ID. Trust me guys, it's probably not even worth $25, much less an extra $100. One thing that really ticked me off this year is of course memory. Dear Apple, why would you ever even think about getting rid of the 32GB model? I always thought that was the most popular. I felt like people who go into like business and things and need a lot of space would want the 64GB, and so that wouldn't be as much popular since that was so ridiculously priced. And then of course there's the 16GB, which would be the desperate people who would go for the entry level one and would run out of space and then be really ticked off. So what was the compromise? 32GB. I love that model. I would get everything in 32GB. But then Apple decided to get rid of it, and now there's only 16GB and 64GB. So 16GB for the iPad Air 2 is $499, and the 64 for the iPad Air 2 is of course $599. Obviously, I'd beg you guys to go with the 64GB. That is worth the extra $100. You do not want to get iOS 8.1 and then end up with like 4.7 gigabytes free. After installing on all my applications on the iPad Air 2 16GB, I actually only have about 2 gigs left, which is kind of depressing, and I can only imagine what's going to happen to it after I go ahead and install more Cydia tweaks and things on it. So yeah, that's kind of up to you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully your mind is made up. I suggest you guys go with the iPad Air 2 if you have the money, and if you don't have the money and simply want an iPad that's more than fast enough to do your everyday things, feel free to go ahead and go get the iPad Air. That's my verdict, and if you guys have any other comments, feel free to leave them below. Which iPad will you guys be getting? And now let's move on to the giveaway part of this video. The number 1 out of 4 things I'm going to ask you guys to do is, of course, go ahead onto my Twitter and click that follow button, and if you guys already follow me, unfollow me and then follow me back, because I'm actually going to go through my followers and I'm going to be picking one of you guys, so feel free to go ahead and do that. And if you don't, I will be checking, and this is a pretty ridiculous giveaway. I actually can't believe I'm doing this, but yes, I will be sending you guys an iPad Air, the other one that I got. And yeah, thank you guys for watching and staying tuned. This is going to be me logging off.